Hey there guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to start a new reading vlog, and this one is going to be for December 2020. We still live in this weird year, but we have made it to the final month, and when you see this, it's probably over. So that's super weird in my head. Like, I feel like they sent me home into home office like yesterday, and was actually in March, so crazy times. But we're here to talk about books. So what I'm currently reading is this series. It's called Barefoot Gen in English, and it is a series of mangas about the Hiroshima bombing. And I made it to the 4th part, and this is the last one that my library has, and I think for now I have decided that I will stop reading the series with this one. I think the first volume is absolutely phenomenal. It blew me away. It's my favorite graphic novel I've ever read, or like manga or comic or whatever. Yeah, but then I, gradually just lost interest a little bit because, with these books, it's just one bad thing after another, and I feel like I got the kind of political climate and also social climate after the bombing now, and I don't know if I want to read 6 more books. Also, this one feels weird because it does these kind of super weird time jumps, and since manga don't have chapters, you don't realize when kind of a new timeline and a new storyline starts. So yeah, I don't know. The first one, phenomenal, but I think I'm done with that series for now. So I have a little bit left, but I hope to finish this. And then the next book I want to pick up is Longbourn by Joe Baker, and I think this is a Pride and Prejudice retelling, but from the point of view of the maids and stuff. So yeah, I'm really excited to see whether I like this, because with these kind of historical retellings, it can go either way. This is the second Jane Austen retelling I'm trying this year, and the first one was a huge fail. So I hope that this one will be better because it has a completely different focus. And yeah, I'm really excited. I'm in the mood for something historical and cozy, so I hope that this book is what I want. Also, it's from the library, so I have to get it back soon, and I definitely want to read it before it goes back. And then for my audiobook, I'm currently listening to a book called The Christmas Invitation, and I really enjoyed that one. I think I had about 9 hours left of it when the month started, and since I'm recording this a little bit later, I have 7 hours left now. And it's just a fun story. It's kind of like some family drama, some second chance romance, and yeah, it's just interesting. I like it. So that's what I'm reading right now, and now I will show you an update I filmed yesterday before I realized I hadn't even done an intro for the video yet, and then we will jump back to today, because today is actually the 3rd of December, and I'll tell you more about my reading then. I'm gonna get a haircut tomorrow. I'm super excited because this is not working out for me. I still haven't finished this manga, which is what's going on? Like, I do too much other things. I need to finish this. And then also, I listened to about an hour of my audiobook last night. I have 8 hours left now, and I think I figured out the family drama twist, because it was so obvious. It was like hitting you over the head obvious. So, we'll see. But I'm still excited to see where the romance goes, because I think it's kind of like a slow burn second chance kind of deal. So we are almost halfway in, and there still isn't a lot of romance happening. Just like, the whole backstory and stuff like that. So yeah, I hope that this will pick up a little bit of pace and we get some more romancy scenes in there. So today's the 7th of December, and I thought it is time for a quick little update. I haven't done a ton of reading, but I wanted to tell you about the stuff that I have done. So first off, I have finished Barefoot Gen, the 4th volume. As I said, I will stop reading this series after this installment. If you want to hear about this, I will only talk about it in my November wrap-up, which is already up and not in this one, because it doesn't really make sense to talk about the last one on its own, I guess. But I decided to give this 3.5 stars. I feel like that, you know, by now I have gotten all the important messages that are in the book, and now it's just like kind of like one bad thing after another happening, and I just don't want to see these characters suffer anymore for now. Maybe I will pick the rest of the series up later, but also I'm a little bit confused by the German publishing, because there is 5 volumes in German but 10 in English, and this one also read a little bit weird because there were like these huge time jumps, so I'm not sure whether they have just shortened it and, you know, there's not all of the scenes in here. I'm not quite sure how that works, but this is also something that took away a little bit of my enjoyment of this book, because, you know, you were in one scene and then suddenly you were in a completely different place, completely different time, and that was quite confusing to follow. But yeah, overall, I would recommend the series, especially the first volume, which, as I said, is the best graphic novel, manga, whatever, that I've ever read. So I hope you pick it up. Then I managed to read the first 50 pages of Longbourn by Joe Baker. This is a Pride and Prejudice retelling, but from the point of view of the maids, or in particular one maid, I think her name is Sarah? Yeah, Sarah. And yeah, so far not a lot has happened, but we follow Sarah, who is a maid in the house of the Bennets, and she, you know, she just has to serve them and do their laundry and all that kind of stuff. And so far we haven't seen any of the characters from Pride and Prejudice for real, but they are mentioned here and there, and I think it's quite cleverly done. And I also like Sarah as a main character. She is, you know, very relatable, just a normal kind of woman. Whenever I hear people say that they wish they were born in like 1840 or something, I always think of these kind of people, because honestly, we wouldn't all be royalty. And so, yeah, that would be the life we would be living, like doing laundry for a whole day and destroying our hands with that. So yeah, I think this is a great book, and I'm interested to see where it goes, and, you know, how the story of Sarah interconnects with the story that we've known from Jane Austen. And then last night we started Letters from Father Christmas by Tolkien. I'm reading this one to my partner, and this is just letters that Tolkien wrote to his kids with illustrations, and he is kind of writing as Father Christmas. It's just magical and wonderful, and if you love Tolkien, I think this is a great book. I've never managed to finish it, so last night we read the first kind of like 20 pages, and yeah, I hope this year will be the year when we get through this, because I think this is just wonderful to read around Christmas, and I really, really enjoy it. Yeah, that has been all of my reading so far. I'll keep you updated. It's not like I'm reading books right now, but you can be sure that I'm buying books right now, so very, very excited. And this will go straight onto my Very Merry Readathon TBR as a book with disability rep. And I think in this volume we also learn about Micah's disability a little bit more. So yeah, I'm just so excited to have this. So today is the 14th of December. I haven't updated this in a while, and the reason is I didn't really read a lot. So yesterday was the start of the Very Merry Readathon, and I basically read nothing, which is not that great. But as you can see, at least I have a tree now. It doesn't look very impressive from this angle. It doesn't look very impressive from all the other angles, but I like it, so we'll have to deal with that. We're now on page 77 of Tolkien's Letters from Father Christmas. This is just a little collection of letters that Tolkien wrote as Father Christmas to his children. It's really, really cute. I'm reading this one to my boyfriend currently before we go to bed, and yeah, really enjoying that one. I've had this book for maybe 2 years now, and so I really want to finish this year. Then I'm on page 255 in Longbourn, so I have about 200 pages left, and I was really hoping that I could finish this today, but for that I would have had to read a lot yesterday, which I didn't do, so I'm not quite sure how this will go. I'm reading this one for the very readathon, or I have to finish this up before I can move on to other books I want to read for that readathon. So yeah, I should really prioritize this now. The problem is that today is a very busy day and I have to work quite long hours today, so I don't know how that will go. But yeah, this is definitely priority number one right now. And then with my audiobook, it's called The Christmas Invitation. With that one I have 2 hours left, I think. So I will definitely finish that off this week. I'm really excited, but also I'm not quite sure which book I want to read next because I love The Christmas Invitation. It is exactly what I wanted from a Christmas book, and now I'm worried that I won't find another book that is just as good. So we'll see about that, but I'll definitely keep you updated when I finish this and tell you a little bit more about it then. Today is the 15th of December and I thought I'd give you a quick update. So I have started part 3 in Longbourn now. I am quite a bit through. I don't think I will finish this tonight, unfortunately. I just don't have time. I'm just so busy. It's really annoying. But yeah, the start of part 3 really isn't my favorite. So right now I'm just a bit bored, to be honest. So far we had quite a linear storyline where we follow kind of the same timeline as Pride and Prejudice, but just from the point of view of the staff in the house. But now, in the beginning of part 3, we're kind of going back in time and learn the backstory of one of the characters, but not even the main character. So I'm not interested at all. And yeah, so I hope that this part will be done soon. It actually goes back to the kind of French Revolution and how the English tried to fight Napoleon so he wouldn't get more power in Europe. And yeah, after finishing Les Mis, I'm just, no, I just don't want to read about that right now. So as I said, I hope that this part is over soon. I just feel like this is such a cozy book, and even though obviously the life of these people weren't easy, but now going into war was really weird and I just don't like that choice. So yeah, I'm not quite sure how this will continue, but as I said, I hope I can finish it tomorrow and tell you more about it. We'll see about that. And then I only have 1 hour left of my audiobook. So The Christmas Invitation is what it's called. And we're now at the Christmas dinner, yeah, I think it's dinner scene, and yeah, it's just, I love that I love that audiobook so much. It's so cozy, it's so Christmassy and festive, and I just don't want to be done with it. But yesterday I went on Goodreads and I looked for some new audiobooks I can start, and I realized the Christmas audiobooks I really like are the ones where you have a main character who is like a businesswoman or some kind of, you know, just successful woman, and then she for some reason goes off to the countryside, and there is some kind of romance and maybe a cat or a dog involved or something like that. So these are the kind of Christmas romances I really like. So I think I found some good ones, and yeah, we'll see what I listen to next. But I just don't want it to be over. I love these characters so much. Do you know what I mean? Okay, so that's what's happening right now. Today is the 16th of December and I just finished my first book of the month, which is amazing. But yeah, my month is just really busy. It's because I'm doing Vlogmas on my cooking channel, so if you're interested, the name is Baking Cooking Fun, and I'm uploading a new recipe every single day, so that takes a lot of time actually. And then also, you know, just the usual Christmas preparations, and work is also really busy because a lot of people want to get everything done before the year's over. So yeah, I'm just way too busy. But I finished The Christmas Invitation by Trisha Ashley. This is a Christmassy audiobook that I've been listening to, and I really enjoyed it. I decided to give it a very solid 4-star. I just loved the characters, and it was a lot of fun to listen to. It just felt really cozy and warm, and yeah, it was just the right audiobook for what I wanted right now, and so I much enjoyed it. The reason why I don't give it more stars is that it is kind of a, I don't know, it's just one of those cozy books, you know? It's not like life-changing or anything, but I thought that it did a lot of things right, and it was just good fun. So in this book, we're following our main character, and she is an artist, and she is summoned by this woman who is a famous researcher, but also an author of crime novels, to come to their estate and paint them. So the researcher woman, she wants a portrait of herself and of her husband, who is a very famous poet. And so the artist that we're following, she goes up there for the Christmas period to paint their portraits. And while she's there, there's a lot of like family drama. There's stuff revealed from the past, and yeah, you also have kind of this romance aspect, because the artist then meets a guy who she knew in college, and she had a really big crush on him, but he thinks she did something very bad, so they didn't leave off on good terms, and now they are basically forced back together because of this situation around Christmas. And yeah, it's, as I said, it's just really fun. I really enjoyed the characters, and you have so much in this book. You have the family aspects, which is like the main plot point, is just the family dynamics. You have that whole thing in the past with the family drama. You have a little bit of a murder mystery aspect in there as well, and then also the romance. But I feel like from what you can read on the back of the book, I would have thought the romance plays a much bigger part, but it really only starts in the end of the book, and then, you know, the book is over, so you don't see a lot of romance in there, but I didn't mind that at all. It's more about the family dynamics, and that's what gives me the cozy vibes, so yeah. 4 stars for The Christmas Invitation, and now I want to choose another Christmassy audiobook, and I have 5 options, which I will tell you about. The kind of criteria was that it is between 7 and 10 hours long, because I will be driving home to see my family for Christmas, and that is about a 3-hour drive, and so I wanted an audiobook that I can listen to going back and forth, but also there's a couple of days before Christmas, so I also want to have a little bit of, you know, audiobook to listen to before I go. So yeah, I have 5 books here, and I'll tell you about them now. So the first one is called Life in Bits. This is a lesbian romance story set in Christmas time, and the authors are Harper Bliss and T.B. Markinson. The next one is A Surprise Christmas Wedding by Philippa Ashley, and it said that this book is perfect for fans of Trisha Ashley, which was the book I just finished, so maybe that one. Then we have A Royal Christmas Wish by Lizzie Shane. This is the one that I feel least intrigued to get. I'm just not with the royalty stuff, I don't know. Then we have Fresh Tracks by Georgia Beers. This is also a lesbian romance story set during Christmas. And the last thing is 12 Sleighs of Christmas by Jacqueline Frost, which is a crime story set around Christmas. And I think what I will do now is listen to a couple of minutes of each of those and figure out which one I'm gonna get. So I just finished listening to this little 5-minute thing of Life in Bits. So from what I can gather, this is a lesbian romance. It's also an age gap romance, and one of the main characters is a very well-known photographer who went to war zones, and yeah, she has maybe some kind of injury when she comes back now, and then yeah, it's about a romance. So so far I'm not so sure. This is also the shortest audiobook, and I'm worried that it might be too short for what I want. It's not that it's not interesting, but I'm just not sure whether this is the right one yet. Okay, so I just listened to the first 5 minutes of a surprise Christmas wedding. So in this one, we're following a main character called Lottie, and she had a fiance, but they broke it up, and she is taken on a new job, but she's like an event manager or something like that, and then she is told that she's supposed to plan a very surprise wedding, like it's very, very quickly. And then she realizes that the groom is actually her old fiance. So this is definitely intriguing. I really like the tone of this. I'm just worried that it is too similar to the book I've just listened to in tone, but yeah, this one is really intriguing. I'm really in the mood for something like that, I guess. Okay, so now we have A Royal Christmas Wish. This one seems to be a little bit of a magical story, like maybe some kind of a modern fairy tale thing, because this focuses on Jenny, who is a very clumsy person, but she meets this guy who turns out to be the prince of a kind of unknown country, and then she gets the opportunity to be his wife up until Christmas or something like that. And then the magic kind of wears off. That's what I gather from the description. The beginning was quite cute. I think that Tenny is an interesting character. She's trying to find a real job because so far she hadn't had any luck with that. And she seems to be like a very relatable character. So yeah, this sounds more interesting than I thought it would be. Okay, now we have Fresh Tracks, and this one immediately jumped to the top of the list for me. This is about 7 women spending I think the Christmas time together, or at least it's set in winter. And one of or the main couple is 2 women, and they have invited a couple of friends and family to spend time with them, but there is gonna be a lot of trouble from what I got. And yeah, I really like the beginning of this. It's really cute. I really like the main relationship, and so yeah, this is one that I have a very good feeling about right now. Okay, and we have 12 Sleighs of Christmas. This sounds really cute as well. You're following a girl who just got broken up from her fiance and moves back home, and her family has a Christmas tree farm, and she thinks that she can just bundle up there a little bit and forget what has happened, but then there's actually a murder, and people think that her father did it, and so she's trying to prove that he didn't. And yeah, this sounds super cute. Now I will have to think which one I will get. So to be honest, I think all of these sound very interesting. I think the one I'm least interested in is Life in Bits, just because yeah, I'm not quite sure how I feel about the age gap romance part, and the kind of main character didn't really grow on me for the beginning of this, and yeah, I don't know, maybe it will be very good when I get more into it, but from the first couple of minutes I feel like this is the one I'm least interested in. I think then comes probably, this is hard, probably A Royal Christmas Wish, but this sounded more interesting than I thought it would, because I'm usually not very interested in these kind of royalty romances. Then I think I would put A Surprise Christmas Wedding, just because I feel like this is too similar to the audiobook I just finished, and I don't want to get them mixed up, so I think I will keep that one for next year. Then on second place I have 12 Sleighs of Christmas. This does sound interesting, and I would love to listen to one of those cozy mysteries, because I'm not very well versed in them. But yeah, I don't know, it's so hard, it's really hard. It sounds very interesting, and I'll definitely keep that on my wish list for next year maybe. And on number 1, I think the book that I will get is Fresh Tracks, just because it is set between Christmas and New Year's, so I think it's the perfect book to start now, because I will read it right in between that time, from like
you know, a couple days before Christmas, up until New Year's probably. So I think that is perfect, and I can't wait for some like romance drama and stuff like that. So yeah, I will get Fresh Tracks by Georgia Beers, and I hope that this made this vlog a little bit more interesting, because I mean it's the 16th and I've just finished my first book, so yay for me. But I'll keep you updated, and I'll probably read a little bit more after Christmas, so this will be in this vlog as well.
So today is the 17th of December, and I finally finished Longbourn by Jo Baker. This is a retelling of Pride and Prejudice with the focus on the staff and the housemates and stuff like that. I think in the end this is like maybe like a 3.75 star read for me, which usually I don't have. But with this one, I just had a very hard time to, you know, pin down what I think of it. I really liked the beginning. I thought it was very interesting to have that insight into what it looked like to be working during the time of all the Austen novels. But then the last part just lost me a little bit. And I just went on Goodreads and looked at some other reviews, and one person said that this feels a little bit too much like Les Mis, but in England, and I totally see why. And I just feel like I didn't really care about the storyline, and I really liked the idea and I really liked the writing style, but the story just wasn't interesting to me, and also I just didn't like what was done to some of the characters, especially Mr. Bennet. That's just, you know, he's just one of those characters that you just really like if you read Pride and Prejudice, and I feel like in this book it was very much pushed upon you that he isn't a great guy, and yeah, I feel like that just was a little bit too much for me. But yeah, I really like the idea of this, but just like what it was in the end didn't convince me that much. So yeah, somewhere between a 3.5 and a 4 star, but like more of a 3.5, I guess. So that's this book, and I'm really glad I finally finished that, because I feel like I've been reading this one forever again. And now I will take a bath, and I will take this beautiful book with me. This is These Violent Delights, and this is the group book for the Dark Academics book club. So yeah, this one is also pretty much the same page length, whatever. So I hope that this one won't take me such a long time again. But yeah, it's a lot of pages. It looks so thin, but it's a lot of pages. So today is the 21st, and I haven't got any reading update. I'm still on page 60 of These Violent Delights, and I don't think I will read a lot more before Christmas, to be honest, because it's freaking stressful. Like, I have a headache, I'm not sleeping well, it's just stressful. So yeah, I guess this is a big fail for me, but yeah, I enjoyed the beginning. I just don't have time to keep reading it. And then also I'm currently halfway through the Christmas letters by Tolkien, so I hope that we will finish this book after Christmas probably too. So yeah, I'll keep you updated on this one as well, but it's also very, very lovely. I just don't have time to read. That's basically the story of this month, so yay.
So these books will have to go back to the library today. Unfortunately, 2 of them are still unread, but I will get them checked out again, I think, next year, so I can finally read them.
So today is the 26th of December, and Christmas is kind of over, so yeah, I am back home, and I thought it would be time for a very over-ambitious TBR for the rest of the year and also the beginning of next year, because I do have 2 weeks off now. And so I thought, you know, I have to put some pressure on myself. So I have 3 kinds of books here that I quickly wanted to talk about. So first of all, the books that I'm meaning to finish in the next like 2 or 3 days. So first of all, A Christmas Carol is not quite so high on my priority list because that would be a reread, but it's one of the book club books for the Dark Academics book club, so this will be discussed tomorrow night. And yeah, as I said, I don't think I will reread it, but if I can manage, I'll try. And then the other book club book is These Violent Delights. I'm currently 60 pages in, so I still have almost 400 pages to go with this one. So this is the highest priority right now. I definitely want to finish this before tomorrow night so I can participate in the live show for it, so we'll see. And then I have this book of letters that Tolkien wrote as Father Christmas. We're quite far in, we only have a couple left, and I think I will finish this together with my partner later this week. And yeah, I'm so happy I finally read this because I've had it for so long, but then never actually managed to read it. And then my actual end of the year plan was to reread Nevermore and Wondeth Myth, and then finally read Hollowpox. So these are the first 3 books in the Morgan Crow series, and I love this series. And yeah, I haven't read the 3rd book yet, so I wanted to reread the other 2 books before that. This is a middle grade series, so I think it fits the holidays quite well. And I'm super excited to get back into this world because it's just so magical and whimsical, and I love Morgan as a main character, so that would be my immediate end of the year plan. And then I have one book I got for Christmas that I want to read very soon, and that is The Lives of Saints by Leigh Bardugo. This is another one of these little kind of fairy tale books that are set in the Grishaverse. And yeah, I really enjoyed the first book that was like this, Language of Thorns. I thought it was very beautiful. I loved the illustrations, I loved the stories, and so I hope this one will be very similar, so I will love this as well. And it is a tiny book, so I think I can squeeze that in there somewhere as well. And then I have 2 books where I was really sad I didn't get to them this year. One I got for my birthday, and it's a German book, and I have no idea what this is, but I had it on so many TBRs, but it is quite big, so I never really got to this. But yeah, I'm really intrigued to read this because some really good friends gave it to me, and I just want to know what this is. And the other one is Grave Secrets by Katie Reichs. Usually I read one Bones book every year, and this was the book for 2020 I got. But then August was so random this year. I mean, obviously 2020 as a whole was crazy, so I just didn't get to it, and then I kept pushing it back, and I still haven't read it yet, so this is also very high up on my priority list. And then lastly, I only have 1 hour left of my audiobook. It's called Fresh Tracks, and I definitely want to finish that before the week is over as well. As I said, it's only 1 hour that I have left, so I think I can finish that off quite quickly. And this is just a very cutesy story about some lesbians who spent the time between Christmas and New Year's together in a cabin, and, you know, just some relationship drama and stuff like that. And it's quite cute. It was good to listen to while I was driving because, you know, it was interesting, but it wasn't like super crazy that you have to listen closely or anything like that. So it was just a very fun read. And as I said, 1 hour left now, so I'll definitely finish that off too before the year's out. Today's the 27th of December. Last night I managed to read until page 200 in These Violent Delights, and then right now I'm on page like 320, and I'm going to head into the bathtub now, and after that there is the live show happening. So I don't think I will be able to finish this book before the live show. I think I will have like probably 50 pages left or something like that, we'll see. But yeah, I don't really have too much to say about this yet. What I do like about it, I really like the main character, Juliet. I think she's really interesting to read about. And I do like Kathleen, who is a trans character. And I really liked her backstory, and the way she was incorporated into this story, I think makes a lot of sense. And I really enjoy that it's not really a main focus that she's a trans person, but it's just something that you know, and that, you know, the main characters who are, like, Kathleen is one of Juliet's cousins and best friends, and they just accept that. And so it's really nice to have a trans character who is a very important part of the story, but
not like their struggle or anything like that. Just they're just like a very important side character, as are many other characters. There's also two guys where it's not quite clear whether they have feelings for each other, which is something that I do enjoy. I do like the tension between them. And yeah, so as I said, I don't have a lot of things to say about this yet, but I'm intrigued to see where it goes. And yeah, I will head to take a long bath now, and then I will hopefully finish this sometime today or tomorrow.
So I do have about 50 pages left of this book, but I still participated in the live show, and it was okay. There weren't too many spoilers for the ending of it. And yeah, it was a really fun live show. It was also discussing A Christmas Carol, which I had read before, so it's not that bad that I didn't mention my reread of that. And yeah, it was just really fun, and I still want to finish this off maybe tonight or tomorrow morning. And then they also announced the new books, and since I'm hoping that I will finish my current audiobook also today or tomorrow, I think I will get the January book as an audiobook. It's called The Furies, and I'm not quite sure whether I'm gonna like it. I'm not really that interested, and so I thought if I get it as an audiobook, I can quite easily give it back if I don't enjoy it. And so I think that is the route that I'm trying, because I can't get it from the library. They don't have it here, which is not a surprise. And so yeah, this was a fun bookish evening.
It is the 28th of December. Yesterday night I finished These Violent Delights. I decided to give it 3.5 stars in the end. I think this is a very entertaining book that really adds something new to the YA genre, but it still is a book that could be better. I don't really think that I can put it better than the hosts did in the Dark Academics Book Club live discussion, but maybe I'll just try to give you a few hints. So what I really liked about this book was some of the characters. For example, I really liked Kathleen, I really liked Juliet as the main character, and I really liked the two best friends of Aroma, Marshall and Benedict. And yeah, I just think that these characters could develop a little bit more, and also their relationships could definitely develop more. So I'm interested in the second book of this, even though I feel like this one still had its issues. I also really liked the setting. I really liked that this was set in Shanghai, which is a city I don't know much about. And I obviously love the 20s, so that was great as well, to read about the 1920s in a different part of the world. So what I think could be better is the whole like mystery, kind of like fantasy aspect of it, because I'm still not quite sure what's going on there. And yeah, there's this twist at the end, so I guess that the whole bug thing will still be important for the second book, which I thought that this would be kind of done now, so I'm not quite sure what's gonna happen then. And yeah, I don't know. So I do feel kind of unsure about whether I will continue with this, because honestly, if I have to wait a year or two, I probably will have forgotten a lot of that, and then I would have to reread it. So what I thought is the most likely outcome is that I will get this as an audiobook, and I think this is just something that I enjoy more when I listen to it on audio, and then just get the second book as an audiobook too, because I feel like this is one of those series where I just, you know, I don't have to focus all of my attention on it, and then I just enjoy that a little bit more. So yeah, I think that is the route it will take with me in this book. But as I said, 3.5 stars. And I would recommend it if you think it sounds interesting and you're okay with these kind of YA things that sometimes stuff just doesn't make a whole lot of sense and you just have to go with it, I guess. And also, this is quite gory and bloody, and there is self-harm in this. So if you are triggered by any of these things, I would recommend staying away from this book. Then I also just finished my audiobook Fresh Tracks, which is a lesbian audiobook. It is set between Christmas and New Year's, so it was perfect for this time of year. And we have basically 7 lesbian women in kind of a luxury cabin somewhere in the US, and they spent this week together. And it's basically just about their relationships. There is not a lot of plot to this, but it's just about how they live and how they, you know, are friends or are lovers, and they all have their issues that they bring into this, and then one way or another, some of these issues get resolved during their stay. So I enjoyed this. I think this is a fun thing to put on as an audiobook when you're driving, just as I did. And as I said, it's perfect for this time between Christmas and the New Year's. I always like listening to a book that is specifically set during this time. So yeah, last year I listened to the Lucy Fowley book that is also set around this New Year's Day kind of thing. So yeah, I just really enjoy that for like my Christmas driving. So I decided to give this book 3 stars. It definitely has its flaws. As I said, there isn't a lot of plot, and it's not like you really care for the characters a whole lot. But it was entertaining, it was fun, and I did like some of the messages that were in there. It discusses cheating, for example, because there is one character who cheated on her husband when she realized she was a lesbian and then left him later, and another character who got divorced after her partner cheated on her. And then there is also a little bit of cheating going on. I don't mind that, but I know a lot of people do. So if you don't like reading about this kind of stuff, don't. But I don't mind that because I think that it's very natural that people are not monogamous. I don't think that humans were made to be monogamous. I think it's an invention of like religion and men who try to keep women under control. But obviously it's not a good thing to cheat on your partner, but rather you should talk about it before it happens. So just be like, well, there's one person I'm really interested in. Would it be okay if maybe, you know, something happens or stuff like that? So obviously cheating is not a good thing, but it's not something that triggers me. So I was fine with that part, but there's also some like, I read it on Goodreads and a lot of people were complaining about the boomer humor, and but I do enjoy reading about older characters, and obviously if you write about characters who are in their 40s and 50s, they will be boomers. So I didn't mind that too much, but I can totally see that, you know, this book is also, you know, part of the time where it was written, and it has been a little bit longer ago, somewhere in the 2010s, I believe. I don't know. But yeah, it's been a little bit old now, and I feel like you realize that when you read it. But apart from that, I did have a good time with it. It was just nice to keep on in the background. This is something I wouldn't read as a book, but I feel like is good for the background when you have it as an audiobook. So 3 stars to that. And I think my next audiobook will be The Furies, which is the Dark Academics book for January, because I'm not sure whether I will like that one. So I thought I'd just get it on audio. It's about 10 hours long. And so if I don't like it, I can return it. We'll see. Yeah, so that will be my next audiobook that I will probably start tonight. And then for today, I thought I do my reread of A Christmas Carol. I was debating on whether I wanted to read this or not, but I still feel kind of Christmassy. I don't want it to be all over yet, and so I thought I'd just see how far I can get today and whether I will continue this or not. And then I want to do another reread, and that is Nevermore, the first book in the Morgan Crow series. And yeah, I'm really excited to reread these and to read the 3rd book finally. So these are my immediate reading plans, and I'm very excited, as you can tell.
So I have finished my reread of A Christmas Carol, which was lovely. I gave this book 4 stars when I last read it, and it's still the same feeling I have. Sometimes I struggle a bit with the language. I don't know why, but I have a hard time understanding him sometimes. But yeah, this was just such a lovely reread, and I'm glad I did it. Wasn't quite sure whether it would be worth my time, but it definitely was. So yeah, that means by now I have finished more books since Christmas than I had finished before Christmas in this month. So go me, I will now start my reread of Nevermore. So today's the 29th of December. Last night I started my reread of Nevermore. I got 60 pages into this and I have made it through the kind of not so pleasant part. This book kind of reminds me of Harry Potter in a sense that I always hated starting with the Dursleys, and it was the hardest part of every Harry Potter book for me. And with Nevermore, we're starting also in a situation that has a lot of injustice, and Morrigan, the main character, is treated very, very poorly, and it's so hard to read. And I feel like Morrigan is even worse off than Harry. So yeah, it is a little bit difficult to get through these first 60 pages with her and to see how people treat her all her life. But now we're ready to enter Nevermore, and so I'm very excited to continue rereading this. It's definitely one of my all-time favorite books, and so that's just a great time. I also started listening to The Furies. I'm about an hour into the audiobook now, so that's not that far. Nothing has really happened yet. We get a little bit of background information on the main character. Her name is Violet, I believe, and yeah, so I feel like this one in the beginning has quite a unique writing style. Definitely is a little bit whimsical, but also pretentious, so it fits this kind of dark academia vibe quite well, and I'm excited to see where this story goes. I wasn't really sure whether I would like this book, but so far the first hour has been interesting, and it does definitely have these kind of witchy vibes, so I might enjoy this more than I thought, but we'll see because the ratings of this book aren't that great, so yeah, might go either way. But yeah, I've just only started it, so I can't really say a lot about it yet. So today is the 30th of December, and I have to admit that I did not get as much reading done yesterday as I was hoping. I was grocery shopping, which definitely was an adventure, and then I had a very long Zoom call with one of my best friends, which was lovely, and I also participated in some reading sprints on a channel. I think the channel name is Shanice Noel, but I'm not quite sure. I will try to remember to link it down below. It was her birthday, so she did some reading sprints on a live show, so that was really fun, and during that I only managed to read about 40 pages of Nevermore. So yeah, somehow the day yesterday just disappeared and was over so quickly, but I hope that I can continue with this today. And yeah, I actually was hoping to finish this year, but now I'm not so sure. I mean, I still have 2 days, but we'll see. And then I also listened to a little bit more of The Furies, and this one has like a major trigger warning for drug use. Like, I had just that one part where she's describing, you know, taking drugs for the first time, and yeah, I'm just not that comfortable with it. I mean, everybody can do whatever he or she or they like, but drugs are just something that I'm not interested in at all. Like, I don't like movies about drugs, and I don't like, you know, when it happens in books and stuff like that. So yeah, if you are sensitive to that topic, I would definitely say do not read this book because it is quite visceral. And then also, this book has trigger warnings for death of family members. So far, I'm about, I think, like 2 hours into it now, and yeah, my opinion on it hasn't really changed. The thing is, I enjoy listening to the audiobook, and yesterday I realized why that is, because the accent that the narrator does remind me of one is the character from Sex Ed. I forgot what her name is, Maeve or something like that. Like, this Robin character, the way the narrator talks as Robin really reminds me of Maeve. I think that's her name. And the other one is from The Haunting of Bly Manor, the gardener. I also forgot her name. But whenever the narrator talks in the main character's voice, it really reminds me of that woman, the gardener in Haunting of Blair Manor. And these are just two characters I love with all of my heart. So I keep picturing them while I listen to the book. And then whenever I turn off the book and like go to sleep or something like that, I'm like, what happened when I listened to it? I don't remember. I just enjoyed the voices. So yeah, this is an interesting one, but we'll see how it goes so far. It's just not really my story, but I hope that we'll get some more witchy vibes and that I will like it more. So last night we finished Letters from Father Christmas by Tolkien. This is a short collection of letters that Tolkien wrote as Father Christmas to his children in a time span of, I think, 23 years. And yeah, this is just such a wonderful Christmassy read. I think Tolkien is just such an inspirational person. I do love all his works, and I'm glad that I finally read this little Christmas collection by him. I decided to give it 4.5 stars because while I think this has so much emotional value, I also feel like this is not a book that I would give 5 stars to, but that's just a, personal preference thing. But it was just a lovely, lovely read, and if you have a Tolkien lover in your family who doesn't own this book yet, I would highly recommend getting it. It's a lovely gift, and yeah, just a very sentimental little book. Also, I'm now more than halfway through Nevermore. I'm around 200 pages in, and I hope that I can finish this today, but I'm making no promises. I mean, this is a book where I'm not mad to start my reading year with it, but if I can finish it today, I will start Wondrous Mist tomorrow for the new year. We'll see. Also, yesterday the prompts for the Medieval-a-thon were announced, so I've just built a little stack of books that I want to read for that, and I'm very, very excited. Medieval-a-thon is always a lot of fun, and next year it's happening in January. It's starting on the 10th of January, and I will try to remember to link the announcement video down below if you think about participating as well. It's just something that I love, so yeah, I was so excited to finally get the prompts for it. This is probably the last clip for this year. I just wanted to mention that I finished my reread of Nevermore in the bath right now, and it was a clear 5-star read for me again. I love the series so much, it's perfection, and I'm so glad that this was the last thing I read this year, because I think I've read these books the first time like pretty much a year ago, so yeah, it's very fitting and such a great series, and I hope you pick it up because I feel it's still underrated. Like, if you do love books like Harry Potter, you need to pick up Nevermore. And with that, I think that has been my reading for 2020. I think we will now have dinner and then we will start watching Queen's Gambit, I think it's called, the chess series on Netflix. And yeah, then I'll be back next year with a January vlog, which I can't even believe. Hey there guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to share with you my December wrap-up. You've already seen the vlog part, so we'll get right back into it and I tell you all about the books I've read this month. The one book I won't mention again is the Hiroshima Barefoot Jen book. Talked about that in my November wrap-up, so that would have been book number 1, but it's only a manga, so I think it's okay if we don't count it. So the first book I finished in December was my audiobook called The Christmas Invitation by Trisha Ashley. So this is a book that follows this kind of like 30-year-old artist, and she has just survived kind of a bad illness, and when she arrives home, she meets this very strong-minded woman who wants her to paint her portrait, and she wants this done over the Christmas holiday. And so our main character is kind of unsure about this, but she then decides to go up to this estate of that woman and paint her and her husband. And this woman is actually a very famous researcher and also crime novel author, and her husband is a very famous poet, and so yeah, they have their portraits painted, and meanwhile we experience a lot of like family drama kind of things, but it's all very cozy and very chill and very cute, and it also has kind of like a second chance romance in a way.
So yeah, there's a lot in this story. It's quite a long book. I think it has over 500 pages when you read it as a book, which I think for these kind of wintry Christmas stories, that is quite a lot, but I really enjoyed it. I had a great time. It was just an audiobook that was right up my alley and fitted the mood I was in perfectly. So in the end, I decided to give it 4 stars. Then I finished Longbourn by Joe Baker. This is a Pride and Prejudice retelling where we follow the maid of the Bennet family. So I think it is in the book that she is mentioned as a girl called Sarah, and Sarah has lost her parents when she was quite young, and then she was taken in by the housekeeper of the Bennets and brought up to kind of be the girl for everything. And this story starts when she's maybe in her 20s or something, and a new guy comes to work on the estate, and this is all about her figuring out what she wants to do with her life, if she wants to be like a maid forever or whether she wants to dream bigger and stuff like that. So I really liked the beginning of this book, but I did not like where it went in the end. I can't really describe why, but I feel like yeah, I don't know. I just expected it to be more about that life as like a servant during that time, which was horribly hard. And the beginning totally had that, but then it just went somewhere else. And yeah, then there was this weird like flashback where you went to like the Napoleonian Wars, whatever those are called in English. I don't know. Yeah, it lost me somewhere, and it had this weird romance where I didn't really see any kind of spark between the characters. And then there's also one black character, which I thought was very interesting to put that into the story and not whitewash it so much. But then again, there were so many like racial slurs towards that character, and you could totally tell that this is just what the other characters thought towards him, and the main character really liked him, but still it was just hard to read, and I felt like it was done to be like historically accurate, but I could also have gotten that picture without it being expressed like so much by that one certain character. So yeah, I don't know. I felt a little bit weird about this book in the end, and I decided to give it 3.5 stars. And then we had Christmas, and then after Christmas I really got into reading for the month. So I finished These Violent Delights, which I actually have right here. This by Chloe Gong, and this is a book that is inspired by Romeo and Juliet, and it is set in Shanghai in the 1920s, and you have these two kind of gangs who are rivals. One gang is Russian and the other one is Shanghainese, and so they do all this illegal stuff, and you have an heir for both sides. So Roma is the Russian heir of the white flowers, and Juliet is the Shanghainese heir or heiress of the, what are they called? The red roses? No, what are they called? Oh my god, weird names. Scarlet, the Scarlet Gang. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, we have this kind of like Romeo and Juliet setup with the families fighting and stuff, but then while a lot of the characters are inspired by Romeo and Juliet, the storyline itself is completely different, and you only have like certain landmarks that you recognize. I like the way the author played with these, but I've also heard people say that they didn't like some of the scenes and what was done with it. I liked it, but I think it comes down to preference. And yeah, I really liked the main character in this. I liked that we had some trans representation in a historical setting, which is always great. I felt like that was also incorporated very well into the story. It felt very historically accurate and possible, but also it wasn't like a huge plot point or anything. It felt very organic the way it was put in the story, even though some people said that, and I felt that too, that at the beginning it's a little bit hard to figure out if the character is trans or not. But yeah, The other thing is that you have this weird fantasy element of a monster and a sickness that makes people kill themselves. And so this has some self-harm in there that you should steer clear of if this is a trigger for you. And so it is a little bit gory because of that. And if you don't like bugs and stuff like that, I also wouldn't necessarily recommend this. But this like fantasy element wasn't done all that well, and the ending was like really all over the place. And there was this live discussion of the Dark Academics Book Club about this book, and I do agree with the criticism that was mentioned there. So if you want to check that out, it's still up. And so in the end I gave this 3.5 stars as well. Then I decided to read A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. This is a reread for me. I love this book. I think I've read it once before or maybe twice. And this is the classic story of Scrooge, who doesn't really like Christmas. And then he's visited by 3 ghosts and he's kind of transformed and becomes a better person because of that. So yeah, I like this. I always thought it was an interesting work to explain the spirit of capitalism, I think it's called in English, by Max Weber, which is a very interesting sociological concept. But yeah, I like this. I gave this 4 stars and I would reread it again. It's such a short book and it was lovely. On the same day, I also finished my second audiobook, Fresh Tracks by Georgia Beers. This is a Christmassy audiobook, but it is set right after Christmas, which makes it perfect for that time between the years. And it follows a group of lesbian women who are in this kind of luxury cabin, and there's shenanigans, let's just say that. So there's this main couple and they own the I almost said cottage. Yeah, you know what I mean. And then they have invited some friends, and also a family member of one of them is coming over but wasn't expected. And yeah, there's just some tensions and some romance and a dog. I think every good Christmas story needs a dog. And obviously lots of snow, and so it's just a very festive audiobook. Definitely had its problems, like the characters were like very boomer-ish and that was mentioned a lot in the reviews of this book, and I definitely agree. And yeah, so there was good and bad in it. It was just enjoyable to have on in the background while I was driving for Christmas, so I gave it 3 stars. Then I finished reading Letters from Father Christmas by Tolkien to my partner. We made this our little December book because I like to read to him at night. And yeah, this was lovely. This is all letters that Tolkien wrote to his children. So you have the letters printed in here. You can't really see that well. And then also the text. And he also drew lots of pictures and stuff. So it's a very beautiful book. It's very well done. And I just love Tolkien. I think he's an amazing person. I actually cried when I finished this because it's just so heartwarming and heart-wrenching at the same time to think that a father would put so much work into Christmas letters for his children. I really adore that, and so I think it's so great that we can all enjoy this collection, and I gave it 4.5 stars in the end. And then my last book of the year was a reread of a recent favorite, and that is Nevermore by Jessica Townsend. This is the first book about Morrigan Crow, who is told that she will die on her 12th birthday. But then things happen, very weird things happen, and she is whisked away on her 11th birthday to the magical world of Nevermore. And there she has to participate in some trials to get into the Wondrous Society, and if she doesn't, she will probably die. So this is a super beautiful middle grade book that is reminiscent of books like Harry Potter. It's very magical. It is a lot more funny than Harry Potter was, but it still has that same kind of nostalgia feel to it. I absolutely love this series. Morrigan is a great character. She is so relatable, and she has suffered, she has seen pain in her life, but she's still such a hopeful girl. And yeah, I just love this. I love all of this. Like, this is fantastic. I think it's creative, it's fun, it's adventure, and I think you can learn a lot from reading this series. Also, it does things that other series don't do, so I love that. And yeah, I gave it 5 stars on Reread Again. So there you have it. These were all the books I've read in December. So thank you for sticking around all through this video. And if you liked it, leave a like or nice comment. I always appreciate those. And if you subscribe, I will talk to you soon. Bye!